Chapter 7. We Shall Overcome Someday. Equality for All People. John Lewis was elected to Congress on November 4th, 1986. He was re-elected 16 times, serving almost 35 years. During that time, he continued to get into good trouble fighting for what's right. He led peaceful protests while in Congress. He even got arrested. In 2016, there was a deadly shooting in Florida. John was angry. He wanted Congress to pass laws that would make it harder for people to get guns. He protested by leading a 24-hour sit-in on the floor of Congress. People began to recognize John for his important work. In 2001, he received the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award for protecting the rights of all people. In 2011, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. That's one of the highest honors an American can get. Meanwhile, John wrote books about his life. He even wrote a graphic novel. But it wasn't all celebrations for John. In 2012, he lost his beloved wife, Lillian. He was very sad, but he continued to work hard. In 2015, he led a march back across the bridge in Alabama, where he almost lost his life. The march honored the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday. He reminded the crowd that it took 3 tries to get across the bridge before change happened. Then, in 2019, he got bad news. He had cancer. As usual, this didn't stop John. He decided he would fight cancer. He said, "I have been in some kind of fight for freedom, equality, basic human rights for nearly my entire life. Spirit of peace, power of love." In June of 2020, John made his last public appearance. He visited Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. Protests had broken out across the United States after a black man named George Floyd was killed by a police officer. John joined the protest. He wore a mask because the world was dealing with a deadly virus. A few weeks later, John died on July 17th, 2020. After he passed away, a newspaper published an essay he had written. It explained why he had been at the protests for George Floyd. He wrote, "I just had to see and feel it for myself that after many years of silent witness, the truth is still marching on." He was honored in Washington, D.C. A double rainbow appeared in the sky the day before his funeral. Many people came out to remember John Lewis at his funeral, even though the virus was still around. Everyone wore masks to stay safe. 3 former presidents talked about working with him: Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush. They told stories of all the good trouble he got into during his life. They talked about how important peace was to John. They even remembered his chickens. The youngest speaker was 12-year-old Tybury Faw. He had become friends with John 2 years earlier. He read one of John's favorite poems and said, "Let's honor him with getting in good trouble." John's funeral took place in the church where Dr. King had been a pastor. Then his casket was taken across the Edmund Pettus Bridge one last time. A newspaper published his final words. He told people to vote and said, "Though I am gone, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe."